Okay, recording this video after close of trade Thursday, 12th of May 2011, and well, bit of a reversal day. Exhaustion up day after exhaustion down day yesterday. There's kind of a white and a red bar pattern on better volume. You can see about 1.9 million contracts traded today. We closed up at 47.75, kind of almost on the high. We kind of poked down below yesterday's low and then kind of rallied back. Kind of interesting things happening on charts. Better Extra not showed this in a while. This was the indicator that was kind of keeping us in this long trending move kind of previously. I was talking about all of this kind of volatility that we had, but interestingly, since March, this has been in an uptrend, and today's activity allows us to kind of pull that trailing stop up to 1328, kind of down here. So that's an important level for me. I was talking about kind of line in sand being about 1335 and 1350 on the E-mini, and we kind of both these last couple of days poked above that and below those levels by a couple of points, and then kind of rallied back in. And you can see that on the better trend line indicator here. We're back in congestion, so we kind of broke above the first congestion line here, then we kind of broke below it, and then kind of back into it. So we're winding up for something big now. I hate to say it, I think it might be on the upside just because I'm a perma bear, but let me show you some of my other kind of charts. 30-year bond chart here. Now we've had a nice little rally. I've been talking about this for months and months. This was kind of the spike down after end of trend, exhaustion selling at this point. We kind of rallied on. Now over the last week we've had exhaustion buying and a bearish divergence signal here, plus a cyclical resistance level kind of come in. That's not a good sign for a rally to continue. That's a sign this might roll over and actually turn into a downtrend on bonds. So pointing that out, that would mean kind of a resumption of risk-on trade. So bonds kind of going down, which is not exactly kind of what the end of QE2 is all about. End of QE2, you'd have thought people would be getting back into kind of less risky assets, so buying into the bonds. So bond move down. I hesitate to say sell off, but anyway, just going to be watching this really closely. Now dollar index. Here, last couple of days, we had this bounce, and I talked about this leading up to the bounce. We had this exhaustion selling, bullish divergence at this point here. It was actually a pro signal kind of exit the day before we had this large range kind of move up in dollar index. Dollar index has now made exhaustion buying kind of signals here, and we're coming up to a cyclical turn on dollar index. No bearish divergence yet, but just be aware this cyclical turn is kind of lining up. And euro, same thing here. Sell off in the euro after exhaustion, buying on the upside. We've now had really extreme kind of exhaustion selling for a couple of days here in the euro. We've got a cyclical support kind of coming up on this chart as well. So risk on trade is kind of potentially lining up. And let me just go back quickly to the daily chart. Not got this on the better sine wave here, is about to form to cross kind of tomorrow and form a potential kind of support on the daily time frame. So all of that would suggest there's actually quite a lot of strength, and then you see a lot of that kind of happening in the other kind of charts. So crude today's similar type pattern, silver less so, still some weakness in silver, but gold kind of bottoming. So all of those kind of commodity markets and currency markets are coming up to cyclical turning points. So we could be heading back up, which will be an interesting kind of turn of events. Now, just in terms of what I was looking at on my charts, 4500 tip bar charts. This is kind of the main time frame for day trading setups. So the sell-off yesterday, talked about this with a flush signal. So coming into the open today, we'd had a pullback. It didn't signal as an end of trend here, because this is a dirty kind of I'm calling this a dirty end of trend, where we kind of break the pullback level, but effectively that becomes an end of trend type signal with a flush signal on the downside. Second cyclical turn after end of trend, we have another exhaustion selling signal and a bullish divergence signal right down here, and that kind of almost marks a nice low, and we kind of take off from there. Now on the upside, what we've had is we've had exhaustion buying on the upside here, pullback, so kind of in the next, overnight or beginning of tomorrow's trade, we're going to form an end of trend, and we've had our exhaustion buying on the upside on that end of trend, so I'd expect weakness after that. But let's wait and see, because this is an interesting kind of day today. I'm going to tag on a little day video I did at the end of my trading. I was out after I think it was about 45 minutes or so. Got 3 trades under my belt, made 4.25 points. I was quite happy. Got on board this little up move here. I'll tag on those day trades. But I did put, just as I was going to bed, I put up a video because I saw a setup happening right at this point here. That I thought was quite interesting. Now I'll talk this through just quickly on these time frames. So 4500 tick bar time frame, we'd had this exhaustion selling on the downside, bullish divergence pattern here. Come up, found some amateur up bars here, bearish divergence, couldn't get through at that point, but then coming back into a cyclical support at this point, amateur down bar, very weak selling at that point. If we look at the 1500 tick bar chart, exactly the same point. After the open for the day, we'd had sell-off, professional bar kind of come in, end of trend right down here, and you can see that coming into this end of trend, bullish divergence and amateurs driving this move down into the end of trend. So that's showing kind of weakness after we've had professionals kind of step in here. I don't worry about these two little amateur bars kind of getting this move going, because that's coming back into consolidation. There's often a little bit of a vacuum in terms of the bid and ask there, so I'm not less worried about that. You can see a little bit of professional profit taking, bearish divergence right up here, and then this is the move coming down into, on this time frame, cyclical support, 2 Rambo patterns, amateurs kind of driving this move down, and it holds at this point here, and that's kind of where the move takes off. And then if we look at the 500 tip bar chart, exactly the same thing. So we'd had our kind of exhaustion selling on the downside here. We were testing into those lows at 29 and 30 with a flush signal down here. Professionals followed by a Rambo pattern, amateurs getting wrong-footed right at the bottom here after we had our end of trend, and we kind of take off to the upside. And then when we take off to the upside, you can see we come into that resistance up here, come back down, and this is on this time frame, all of that amateur activity here, a whole series, about 5 Rambo patterns kind of coming into these lows. And when you see that, it's like, it's kind of a little bit suspect. We then spiked it, the professionals spiked it down just a point or two below that little point, and the amateurs at that point were probably thinking, yippee, this thing's going down, and they step in straight away. We end up with exhaustion selling at this point, and then come back for another cyclical support with bullish divergence, and at that point this thing was looking like, well, it might actually go. We come up to 35, have a Rambo pattern, just getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, come back in, amateurs down, professionals step in at this cyclical support area, very weak selling at that point, and that's where we get this kind of break above, and we kind of ended up then into a strong rally for the rest of the day. But I'll tag on that little day trade, because I did actually see that kind of lining up. It was kind of interesting to see. Now, and then of course when I come to my charts in the morning, I see this going on. So you can see as we broke through 35 and went higher, and this is pointing exactly to the weekend's video where I was responding to a question from Dan T, and Dan was saying, aren't these kind of bearish or bullish divergence signals a sign of weakness? You can see, look at this, extraordinary, about 10 in a row, something like that. That's really climbing a wall of worry, kind of going up here. But as I said, yes, they represent kind of signs of weakness, but it's not a reason to get out of the trade. You've got to see the exhaustion buying on the upside before getting out, and you can see there's the exhaustion buying, and then it represents a little bit of a top at that point. Another little Rambo pattern. We had a few up here, and then we kind of sell off, and then kind of the move continues on. But that was just kind of interesting. So just be aware that was, they were creeping up, and the buying that was going on there was just a little bit each time, a little bit more, kind of just pushing that market up, and then we kind of continue up for the rest of the day. Just a lot of potential strength kind of coming into some of those kind of related markets. So if we crack into the 50s and kind of keep going, it would not surprise me tomorrow. But on the counter argument is this is kind of second cyclical turn after end of trend on the daily time frame. We're kind of fairly exhausted. We had a little bit of kind of average trade size, high average trade size towards the end of the end of today's trade. Just this will be kind of the guide. If we're going to crack above 50, this thing will take off to the upside. But if we crack below 40, then it could be game off. So anyway, hope you're enjoying your trading this week and looking forward to tomorrow, Friday. Just as a final video for today, just been watching this last kind of sell-off. Just want to make a mental note that I think we're going to break into an uptrend at this point at 35. We kind of sold off, you can see in this last kind of move down, all of these Rambo patterns, amateur down bars here, whole series of them, 1, 2, 3, I think there's about 5 in a row there, 2 here in a row, and then we kind of quickly kind of sold off down to 31, exhaustion selling, professional kind of come in there, not quite pointing the right direction in terms of the bars there, but then we test down right back to 31 and we had a bullish divergence, and often these trend moves get set off when we have kind of this pattern here, and now we're coming into cyclical resistance up here at 36. We'll have cyclical resistance here some point on the 15, and got kind of support here. I think we're going to be heading back up, breaking into an uptrend above 35 and heading up towards this cyclical pullback and a downtrend on the 13,500 tip bar chart. But I'm not playing it, but if I was, that's what I'd do right now, is just this. So initially we hit 35 with a Rambo, sell off amateur bars, blue professional bar kind of comes in support, 35, I think it's going to pop at 35 and head to new highs for the day, but just a kind of a mental video note. Just gone short 35.50. Might be early on this trade. Just had exhaustion buying before the open and bearish divergence just after the open, so cyclical turn on the 500 tip bar chart. It's coming out to a cyclical turn on the 4500 tip bar chart. But you know, probably would expect some kind of testing back up on a divergence on the 15. But it's going our way, so short 35.50. It just came out at 34.50 for one. And the reason for just getting out there, Rambo pattern and bullish and blue professional bars kind of down here. We're coming into a previous resistance area though, which could become support. And we've got a cyclical turn coming up here, so it's just a quick little point. Should probably be holding for 2 because it's an icebreaker trade, but let's just see if there's a reversal going on now. So just out at 34.50. Okay, now pretty annoyed, came out of that at 34.50 because it's just run down to the end of trend. Just had a data outage both on IB and TradeStation. Just had to relog back in. Not good, especially right at the open. That really pisses me off. But anyway, so come back down, got end of trend kind of down here. Just kind of reassess what's going on. Short at 30.25, and we're just a pullback and a downtrend. Don't think this has got much to go on the downside, just because we've had exhaustion selling on the downside here. But yeah, so short 30.25, hoping to get out at an end of trend on the 500. Reversal went long at 31 even. And didn't really go very far, just because we had exhaustion selling on the downside, so 3/4 point loss. Got exhaustion selling on the 4500 tip bar chart. We're way before a cyclical turn here though, so just wonder if we're going to kind of bounce back up into 33 and come back down again. Anyway, just long at 31 even. It's kind of just run a bit quite quickly, which is quite kind of nice. Almost got up to 33 here. Target's at 35, blue professional bar on the down, so you know, should kind of test back up. We're going to find resistance around here, so just moved my target to 34, and let's see if this kind of keeps going. Okay, a couple of minutes later, I tested all the way back down into 1330 here. Blue professional bar is kind of coming down here. We had one on the 45. If this was professional kind of top profit taking on the highs here, we would have had it kind of on the rise up. But we got a flush signal kind of here. But Rambo pattern down here at 30, just kind of testing back down. I think this is going to pop to the upside, and we're kind of, you know, running a little bit of the clock here on 4500 tip bar chart. So just moved my target back up to 35, hoping that There's actually kind of a low being formed, and we kind of rushed to the upside after this. So let's see. A minute later, and maybe that's what we just did. So we've had bullish divergence form on 1500 tip bar chart. This pullback here was kind of amateur testing down. I have a Rambo first of all, and then amateur down bars kind of down here, break above the highs of that. Got cyclical support kind of on our way, and it's about to form hopefully on the 45. So we've had exhaustion selling on the downside, bit of kind of bullish divergence on the end of trend and bullish divergence on the 500. And so we're going to head back up above 33, I think. So let's see. Of course, as soon as I say that, kind of spike it down to 31 again. You know, on this rise up, was kind of being led by the amateurs. Amateur up bar here. Hit 33, cyclical turn on both 500 and 15. Should have known that was going to be trouble, and we kind of just come back down into 31. The reason I'm continuing to hold and be stubborn about this is all of this kind of downward activity is kind of amateur down bars, amateur bar here on the 500, and we're just playing off this pullback into end of trend on the 4500 tip bar chart. Blue professional bar coming on the 500 tip bar chart, just kind of spiking it down, trying to yep, Rambo pattern down here, trying to make me feel as if I should reverse and go the other way, but we're just trying to find a bottom because we've had this exhaustion selling on the downside. So still holding long 31 even. Got to make this worth my while once this turns around. Hopefully we've got this one right. Here we go, end of trends formed on the 500 tip bar chart. We just had flush signal on the 500 tip bar chart. Not too worried that this kind of amateur up bar at this point, because that's kind of coming back into congestion at that point, and sometimes there's just, you know, kind of a vacuum on the tape there. And I'm just pushing my target up to 37. I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm kind of getting greedy. The high for the morning up here at kind of cyclical resistance was 37. I'm just kind of pissed that I didn't get any of this down move, and I've had to sit through this kind of volatility and kind of testing down. So we're still long at 31. Well, this thing just took off like a rocket. So we're up at 34 already. You know, don't particularly like these amateur up bars kind of coming into 34, but we still got the cyclical turn away. Okay, first blue professional bar kind of coming on the 500 tip bar chart. We're into an uptrend here because we've broken above cyclical resistance here, but still holding long and being stubborn. Came out at 35 even. I'm just the worst at this. You know, I said I'd push my target at 37, but we're coming up into cyclical resistance here on the 1500 tip bar chart. A couple of blue professional bars kind of come in, and yeah, that was just so quick on the upside here. So I just took my 4 and got out. So 1 point on the first trade, 3/4 point loss on the second trade, 4 points on the third trade. So 4 1/4 for the day, 9:13 a.m. And I'm probably going to see this thing go to 37 just because we've had no blue professional bars on the 1500 tip bar chart. But you know, okay, here we go. You know, I think this is a real short covering rally. Interesting. It's going to go a bit because we've got pullback and end of trend on the 500 tip bar chart. I mean, maybe you can trade these better, but I just see that kind of, you know, money in the pocket, and I just take it rather than kind of sit through a drawdown and kind of try to eke out a little bit more out of this. Here's another blue professional bar kind of coming up here, stopping volume, bearish divergence, and so on. Nothing yet on the 1500 tip bar chart, but it'll come. Anyway, just going to watch it for a while, but that's probably me done for the day, which is good. 9:37, and we did get a final pop, and I think the high was 36.50 here, and as we made that pop, you can see it was a Rambo pattern kind of leading the way. We'd had some blue professional bars kind of come in a little consolidation zone here, pop to the upside, exhaustion buying at that point, bang, never made it to 37, kind of rolled over, and we've come back in down here. Now sitting on support, just had cyclical turns on the 1500 tip bar chart and a blue professional bar on 45. Could easily kind of see it potentially just weakening, rolling over at the moment, but I'm out. I'm quite happy just to watch it for a few minutes and then kind of take off to bed. But hope you had a good day trading.